Thanks again for listening to What's Up with Ward TV and What's Up with Ward, the podcast. My name is Wardy Ward, and I'm your favorite host on the Self Help Podcast. As you know, we specialize in interviewing everyday heroes, much like yourself, and allowing them to have a voice to share their own stories of love, life, relationships, and much more. For those of you who may not know, our motto on this show is everybody has a story to tell, but we just want to know what's yours. With that being said, we have a guest today who's going to tell you more about her life, what she's doing, and overcoming things from a woman's personal perspective. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Bianca Phillips to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Ward, and yourself?
Hey, I'm delicious, as my friend Michael Woods always says.
Yes,
So,
yes.
before we
My
get into
favorite
it,
Virgo. Yes.
go ahead.
I said he's my favorite Virgo.
Oh yeah, yeah. I wish he would have joined us today, but he. But we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that later. Before I get started, I always like to ask my guests to tell us a little bit about yourself in your own words, like who are you, where you're from, and what size shoe you wear.
Okay. Well, again, my name is Bianca Phillips. Um, I'll start with my shoe size. It's an 8.5, 9. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I moved around a lot as a child. My parents got a divorce when I was 6. So started off actually was born in Bloomington. And then we moved to New Jersey. Oh my gosh, what is that name of the place? How is it escaping me at the moment? I went to Nishuane Elementary School then. It was fun.
Okay.
And rode the Black Squirrel bus. I don't know. That New Jersey schools were really, really good. I think I was learning French and Spanish
Oh.
while in school. And unfortunately, we moved, so I was unable to continue there, but went to Corona, California,
Wow.
and then Richmond, Virginia, where my mother's side of the family is from, Columbus, Ohio, and then back to Richmond for high school. And there I went to the Governor School for Government and International Studies. It's now the Maggie Walker Governor School for Government and International Studies.
Mm-hmm.
And then went to school at A&T in North Carolina. Um, pledged Delta there.
Oh.
And then got into some trouble when I was younger. Throughout my younger years, I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and so struggled with a substance abuse issue, and ended up
Okay.
having to actually be incarcerated behind some of my actions and receiving felonies,
Oh, felonies.
which
Okay, cool.
felonies multiple. Uh, yes.
Okay.
Um, so I was able to, kind of see all sides of, the world in a sense. I've even traveled to Spain, France, Italy, Mexico, have family in Hawaii, in Thailand. So
I
it's,
want to go there.
it's been a ride, I'll say that, to the least. So now, I'm currently working for Indigo as the
Mm-hmm.
community recruitment manager. Of course, that's a long story, on how we got here, but just for sake
Mm-hmm.
of time, I'm just, giving the brief description of,
Oh,
kind of what went on. Um,
yeah.
but just being able to help the community to provide um, opportunities for individuals in any fashion, not even just being able to get a job here at Indigo, but even getting things like getting their license back, getting their kids back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I used to work for the Indianapolis Urban League, which is where I met our friend Michael,
Yes.
Michael Woods, shout out. And working there was an amazing experience. I was there for about 4 years, going on 5. Um, and just working there, it taught me a lot about how to help the community.
Mm-hmm.
My position here at Indigo is actually on a grant funded position from the IAAQLI, which is the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative.
Okay.
And it's pretty much My position, I'll say that my position is to seek out candidates who are, not only willing to come to work, but
Hmm.
understand, that this particular company that we work for powers the city. Without people being able to get to one place or another, that nurse may not be able to get to work, to help that family member that you may have that day.
Yeah.
So just, in a nutshell, also providing second chances to people, like I said, in with myself, after being incarcerated, getting my felonies. I was incarcerated for 13 months in North Carolina,
Okay.
from 2013 to 2014. That was an eye-opening experience, definitely assisted me in recognizing that that's not where I want to be. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
I can understand that because I mean, you've given me so much to go. There's so many places I want to go. This what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna circle back to all that because I got notes on that. I definitely
sure,
want to touch that. But let me start with the Indigo first because I got
sure.
a few questions on that. That's an amazing. Wow, you've done so much, especially travel. I got questions. Mine is spinning. So let's start with Indigo. How did you transition to Indigo? How did you even know about the position, and what made you think, hey, I can do this?
Well, honestly, the position itself fell into my lap. I was actually at an employer meeting
Uh-huh.
as working for the IUL. I was engaged with employment. So part of my job there was to find employers for candidates at our organization.
Okay.
With that being said, I happened to come to a meeting, and even though the positions we were mainly hearing about were coach operator and mechanics, the chief of people happened to come in. Her name is Denise Jenkins Agers, and she happened to say the other roles that Indigo was hiring for. So when
Mm-hmm.
she said community recruitment manager, it piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm.
And in all honesty, I didn't even want to apply at first, but I felt like my higher power was telling me, no, you need to apply for this. You need to read the job description and see what it actually says. And I did.
Yeah.
I kept seeing little signs everywhere. And ultimately, I was blessed with this role and it felt it was the role created just for me, in the position that I kind of want to be in to help some of our people be able to have good paying jobs,
Mm-hmm.
and not have some mistakes in the past, hinder
Right.
them from being able to be able to be productive and,
Yeah.
have stability.
Mm-hmm. And you said it was good paying jobs. What's the average pay rate for these jobs they're hiring for?
Once you finish training for coach
Mm.
operator, you'd be at 2150. However, that there are retention bonuses, the benefits outweigh everything.
Oh,
And
okay.
then I know that you also get incentives, like I said, even for attendance. But the mechanics, which is the other role that I'm specifically recruiting for,
Mm-hmm.
are their starting rate is 2870. Generally, you need about 2 years of maybe working in a shop with
Mm-hmm.
experience. But at the same time, I encourage people to just apply. You kind of never know with
Right.
not only experience, a lot of times people don't give themselves credit for. Even working on cars on the side, knowing how to work on, an engine, a transmission, those are skills that that transfer over
Right.
to skills here. They also go through, a training program as well with the coach operators, which are the bus drivers.
Okay.
Indigo will actually pay for your CDL Class A with passengers and air brakes, as long as you
Hey.
make a 2 year commitment. So there is a
Mm-hmm.
2 year commitment with that. But at least if you are able to obtain your permit, obtain your license, Indigo will actually train you on the routes. You have 3 months of training, pretty much, is what you're
Hmm.
actually going through. Um, I mean, the schedule is, I'm not going to lie, all over the place. These are long
Okay.
days for a coach operator. They're 13 and a half hour days. But in speaking to the current employees here, the coach operators especially, when I ask
Hmm.
them what are the good things that they like about their job, they'll tell me the atmosphere. They like being able to come to work with the people here that they do, as well as work with the general public, even though sometimes, may have issues there with the general public.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just, with not obeying the rules at times, or,
Hmm.
just not being with passengers. You know what I mean? Like that's one thing that's just out of our control. It's just how people are going to act. But this role would really require somebody to be patient. Uh,
Hmm.
Anybody who's looking for a career transition, especially nurses, that may not want to be on the floor anymore, but still want to be able to engage with the general public and, get around and know the city and learn the city, find out about all kinds of events that are going on. And like I said, partake in some of these benefits that Indigo has with federal student loan forgiveness after working here for a year, um, with
Oh, forgiveness.
uh,
Oh, wait a minute. I mean,
federal
they
student
wipe
loan.
out the whole thing. They're gonna wipe the whole thing out.
Oh, no, no, no. You have to work
Oh,
10 years, but
okay,
that's
okay.
still 10 years versus, paying on loans for an additional 25 years. I think I got my bill from, from student loans still, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what,
Yeah,
how much money, you know?
I know, but that's good that they'll pay that off. And
Yeah.
you mentioned something a second ago. You said you never know how it's
After a
going to
year, you
go.
qualify. I'm sorry, that's what I should have said. After a year, you qualify to start getting federal loan forgiveness.
That's still good. I'll take that. Um,
Yes.
but I want to pivot back to the point where you said about, I guess how do you say the customers who ride the bus who may not necessarily follow the rules. What protection? Two questions here. What protection does the driver have uh, against those situations? And two, you guys kind of train those drivers to prepare for those unforeseen circumstances with guests who may be, different.
So, in all reality, yes, there is training, but that still is not always going to prepare you for
Hmm.
what happens.
Right,
One of the
right.
drivers told me that, he's driving along, and next thing you know, there's a gentleman who comes and puts a trash can in front of the bus and sits there, obstructing his way and will not move because he was mad at another driver, I guess, who he felt he missed his stop. So
Hmm.
that's, just kind of some of the instances that training may not necessarily prepare you for. However, when it comes to protection, there is a barrier that drivers have, where it's
Okay,
a plastic shield that prevents passengers from being able to just, try to hurt them or hit them in any kind of way.
okay,
Uh, there are, techniques that are learned just throughout experience here as well on how to de-escalate. And that's kind
okay.
of the first and foremost thing is always to try to de-escalate the situation more than
Hmm.
anything. Um,
Right.
and so that's also something that, it's just, I would like to see, and keep in mind, I'll say this, I've only worked at Indigo since August 1st. This is a new
Oh,
transition. So I
okay, this is
don't
fresh.
know some things. However, I have been able to engage with quite a number of the staff, and it's been very enlightening. And I'm excited about it. But um, I would like to see, signs that say something to the effect of if you assault a bus driver, that's a felony,
Hmm.
or even just people were saying, what if we had, an announcement um, from the voice box that would say, some kind of thing that would at least maybe prevent people or at least make them take a second think about or second
Yeah.
thought about hurting, or even cursing at a bus driver or, spitting on them or anything of that nature, because that
Mm,
does happen. And it doesn't necessarily happen to everybody, but at the same time, the fact it does occur.
hmm.
But that's just kind of, just common cur common courtesy and just being a decent person.
Yes.
If you happen to miss your stop, understand, another bus is coming. But taking it out on the bus driver or, or assaulting people or even the bus drivers now have to be very, very mindful because they don't carry weapons, but passengers can. So
What?
we'll
You
keep in
mean
mind,
passengers carry weapons? They carry guns and stuff on there? If
passengers
they got a,
carry all kinds of stuff. And,
oh wow.
yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know if it was like a. I haven't ridden the bus. So I'm gonna ride the bus, but
and that's,
I didn't
yeah.
know. Like, is it like a no metal detector? Nothing. They just can get on and
Yeah, there's no metal detector at all. So
yeah,
passengers can get on with all
anything.
kinds of
Also,
anything.
so it takes a special type of bus driver because I guess I was wondering what's the difference or what's competitive advantage would I have versus a school bus driving the city bus versus school bus? Is it the same? Is it better? Worse?
Well, I can't really say, just because I myself am not equipped to be a bus driver for a school bus or a
Mm,
transit company. It's
yeah.
not my forte. And it does take a special kind of person for that kind of role because they really have to be really, really patient. And that's just kind of what it is. And the patient drivers, the ones that, again, de-escalate, do all of these things. And it's
Hmm.
just unfortunate that, sometimes people, um, on the street, they just kind of, that are riding the bus, you just kind of never know.
Right.
Um, I myself, prior to working at Indigo, had only ridden the bus in Indianapolis one time.
Okay.
I generally, travel by vehicle or, other means, but never the bus. So even riding the bus for myself, tried to ride it at night with our mentorship coordinator. Her name is Deanna McCain. She was willing to take me, on the routes, have me talk to the drivers, speak to the ones that are doing this at night, over on 38th Street, going to, what is it? Just the airport. I mean, just all over the city, and it's just, you
Hmm.
kind of get a respect for what people do. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so yeah,
And you said there are a lot of routes that the bus driver was at. Is it like a GPS in the bus that they follow, or you just gotta kind of know these routes?
that is something I need to find out when I'm on and see. I haven't really taken the time, even in the simulator, to look at all of the buttons and all of the camp because they have all kinds of screens. Don't get me wrong. So there is definitely a possibility it's there, but generally, from what I understand, they should be very familiar with their route. While in training, not only are they doing it computer wise virtually, but they also go, and ride, and drive these routes.
Hmm.
Getting used to even the red line with looking at the symbols that are, crisscross or this way to let you know. So it's learning a different skill set altogether that not everybody in the world, has. And that's an advantage that you can take almost anywhere with you.
Yeah. That is interesting to drive at such a, how long are those buses?
There's a 40-foot and then there's the 60, it's either 60 or 64. But it's the accordion bus, the articulated buses.
Mm,
Riding on those. And I mean, and that's just a long, and it
yeah.
can be very, very unnerving. But honestly, everyone that I hear that says, I was scared to drive at first, but once, I got used to it, and, especially while in training, it was nothing. They said it's even easier than driving a car at times.
I've heard people say that. I just
Yeah.
don't understand how it's such a.
Yeah.
I mean, the wheels got to be like double the size of a car. So,
I mean, it's a big, it's, it's gigantic, especially in comparison to like a Chevy Cruze, right? My little car, my
Yeah.
little go-kart. So yeah, I mean, because you can't just stop,
Hmm.
it's a process to stopping. And
Yeah.
I'm used to being able to
Yeah. Zip in, zip out. You said you get a Class A driving license with the Indigo.
as a coach
As a
operator. So as a
yeah.
coach operator, and I want to be clear with that pay rate as well.
Hmm.
So let's say that again, with coach operators, you can't really have more than 2 points on your license. If you have 4 points, they ask
Uh-huh.
you to go to defensive driving classes to knock those points down, but
Hmm.
generally two. Um, but you have to have a valid driver's license. And honestly, that's one of the challenges that I've been running into quite a bit are African Americans, which is what I'm recruiting for, which I'll get into a little bit later.
Okay.
Don't have a valid driver's license. So that's bad. But uh, have a valid driver's license, like I said, 2 points or less, preferably, and have a good attitude, and be willing to come to work on time. And all honesty, you'll be able to get trained. When you first come in, that is 17. Indigo will take you to obtain your permit, $17 an hour.
Okay.
Indigo will take you to obtain your permit, which as soon as you get your permit, your pay changes to 18.50. Okay.
Okay.
Once
Yep.
you obtain the permit, and go through the CDL Class A training and obtain the endorsements with passengers and air brakes, then
Hmm.
you go to $20 an hour. Okay.
Okay.
Then once you graduate from training, which again takes that entire process takes generally about 12 weeks.
Okay.
Once you do that process and complete training, then you would be at 21.50.
Okay. It's not bad.
And it's weekly
So,
pay as well. So
okay.
people are
Yeah.
making $1,000 checks every week,
Ooh, you can't beat that.
right?
Wow. So I thought, what if a bus driver comes to you and they say, "Hey, I drove for the school. I have a Class B, was 6 years experience." They still got to go take that whole test and do the A, or can you drive that bus with the B?
Uh, Unfortunately, you must start at the 17, but in all honesty, it goes by very quickly, that few
Mm,
weeks, but you'd be at 21.50, like I said, within 3 months.
okay.
You may start off at 18.50, but don't quote me on that, please do not. But I'm pretty sure, just to say, safe wise, if you do not possess a CDL Class A with passengers and air brakes, you would start pretty much at 17. If you do have the passengers and air brakes, you would start at 20. And then once you complete training, you would be at 21.50.
Okay.
So that is one of the perks, is having your CDO and endorsements being paid for while you're still being paid and have accessibility to wonderful benefits. Um, I mean, for example, glad like my benefits were available day one for an admin role. And then I want to say it is the clinic is free and accessible to all employees. So if you've got children, from what I understand, the children can come there. I've started and I was able to do labs, and have a physical. I'm scheduled for a physical
Yeah.
at no cost. I
Okay.
know with the coach operators and keep in mind we have all kinds of roles. So even though I'm referring to coach operators and mechanics, we have all kinds of roles that are available on our site at indigo.net/employment.
Okay.
It'll take you there. And there's also a $3,000 sign-on bonus for coach operators and mechanics until
Hmm.
I want to say that ends December 31st. So yeah,
How does that work? How does that 3,000 work? You got to be there like 10 years before you get it. They give you $1 a month. Hey, what's the catch on that?
the catch is you have to not have any write-ups and not go on
Okay.
like sick leave for 90 days to get your first payment.
Okay.
So 90 days after the date of hire.
Okay.
So you'll start getting it then. And then right now, I'm actually in the process of trying to track that information because we also have a referral bonus as well, which
Right.
is something that is being uh, was required from the grant, that my position is for to
Okay.
promote the referral bonus per se.
Uh-huh.
So employees of Indigo are eligible to get up to $1,500. Because what'll happen is, again, that employee that's referred must put their name, the employee's first and last name on the application. And then once they do that, if that person is there 90 days, they get their first $500 payment. They're there another 90 days with no write-ups. That's important. And as long as they haven't been terminated, you'd get your other 500. So it also is trying to get the employee to encourage these people, these new hires to stay, and try to build something. And I
Mm-hmm.
say at least give it 2 years, especially with the coach operators and mechanics. Give it at least 2 years. There are
Yeah.
many benefits that I haven't mentioned yet. There are, other things that I'm sure that in just my short time at Indigo that I haven't even learned yet. So keep in
Uh-huh.
mind, um, every day I learn something, new that even makes me want to stay here. That job with coach operators and mechanics is a union job. So those things are based on seniority. They have a 401A with a 457B. Uh, what is it? Gym memberships. Like there's a huge discount for the YMCA. There's Adidas discounts. Like, I mean, there's again so much that goes into it here.
You're definitely selling because it definitely sounded good to me. But let me ask you this. Do you have an equal number of men and women driving these buses? 'Cause I know we
I
see a
would
lot of
say
women driving school buses, and then city buses, I see a lot of men from my limited view.
there are more women than you think.
Mm,
I don't know. Based on, and I haven't looked at the numbers. I know we have about 700 employees altogether. I know more so like race and gender. Like for example, 70% of our drivers are African American. I know things like that.
okay,
Um,
70%?
but as for men and women, yeah,
Yeah,
70%.
okay.
We even have women in high paying roles here. Our president and CEO is Inez Evans, and African American female. So that's a feat in itself.
Hmm.
Just pretty much empowering people to be able to have an actual chance, at a good shot with life in all
Hmm.
generality. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Are those buses going green? I see a lot of them are going electric there.
Electric.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They've got the red line that's out now, which will be followed by the purple line, which is going to be electric, as well as the blue line. They've done the ribbon cutting at Indigo on August 11th, if I'm not mistaken. It was a Friday, for the East Campus location. So there's now a another will be headquartered. No, I'm sorry, we're headquartered here now, but over there, I don't know. I know that's the need, which is why we're trying to ramp up, for drivers and people who can actually fix the buses as well. That's
Mhm.
why the need is so high because of the fact that with opening the new lines and providing easier access for transportation in the community, because the thing is, a lot of people who, make decisions don't necessarily ride the bus.
Yeah.
So, or a lot of times, people comment on, well, I think the bus should do this and do that. But I'm like, do you ride the bus? Have you
Good
ever been
question.
on it? Do you see what it's like to, have to go from one spot to another, in transit, wait times. And again, that's the whole need. Right now, I know we're still operating on a reduced schedule from COVID, and not
Hmm.
operating at the number of drivers that we even need now. There's only maybe 300, and we should at capacity be 500, from what I
Oh, so y'all got to
understand.
hire. So how many drivers are you looking to hire right now with that 200 driver gap? What's your target member then?
Well, me specifically, like I said, with the position that I am with the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative, my specific goal, my metric, which is required, is to recruit and retain
Mm,
150 African American coach operators, as well as 100 African American mechanics. And even though people will say, well, it's just African Americans, this particular grant is for the African American Quality of Life Initiative. So,
mm,
yes, in a sense it is, but don't think that it doesn't mean, oh, I won't accept anybody. We need all kinds of quality drivers. So whatever color you come in, please come and apply with Indigo. Please.
yes,
But
yes.
again, my specific role is to, do this. So that's only what, 250 people. And again, we need much more. So that's just a percentage, as well as 50 of those individuals are ones that are going to have a some kind of justice involved, background. So with that
Hmm.
being said, we're putting our second chance program to use there by offering candidates a chance to explain, kind of what happened, because a lot of times it's just paper. People don't get a chance to talk about, what actually happened, the circumstances, um, especially, even reading my case. A lot of people just will see, oh, it's decided. Oh, no, 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 no. You must click on the plus signs, go all the way through the
Right, yeah.
information and really look at the details and see, was it actually dismissed?
Okay.
Were there certain things that were, mitigating factors? Was there a plea deal? Did the person just decide to take a plea deal just because maybe it was their first time ever getting in trouble and didn't
Hmm.
know any other way? Or maybe they
Yeah.
didn't have proper representation for something that was, a minor mistake, something such as possession,
Yes.
of a substance. So
Hmm.
now, especially with, again, like I said, with myself having, issues with endometriosis, which led to, doctors throwing medicine at me, all kinds of narcotics, every opioid, every benzo, every muscle relaxer you could think of.
Hmm.
I was just written a script for, at any given time, whenever I needed it. And then, um, you know, getting in trouble, really kind of made me, again, even living that lifestyle, just, with substance abuse, with pills, you are not making decisions that you would generally make in your own life.
Right.
Um, and seeing other people that, have become addicted, especially to Oxycontin. I
Hmm.
feel like, that particular drug is one of the worst things that could have come to America,
Oh
for
yeah.
pain.
Yeah.
Just for, it to be so addictive and just readily given out. Um, I had a hysterectomy at the age of 29. So I was able to, get rid of some of the issues that I was having, which were causing me to seek out medicine for pain.
Okay.
And in doing so, even though I can't have children, it was probably one of the best decisions that I've ever made, because at the time when I grew up, there were no studies about endometriosis. There was no information about anything like that. Um, Even being called a hypochondriac, thinking that something is like really wrong with me, when no, there was actually something wrong with
Mhm.
me, to the fact
Yeah.
that I had, like I said, a hysterectomy at such a young age.
Hmm.
Um, so there were, quite a few things. So going to prison and seeing seeing other people that have been so heavily affected by especially that drug, in my age group and, around that era, not being able to get good paying jobs or any of that, which
Mm-hmm.
which can cause recidivism,
Yep.
coming out.
Yep. Yep. Or going out, coming out,
It's
going back
hard,
in.
it's very, very hard to be able to maintain, even just as a single person, if you don't have any kind of, income that can support just life in general.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, I can't even imagine being released from prison in 2023 with inflation and everything being the way it is. 2013 was still, I mean, things had gotten high then, but now, I mean,
Yeah.
it's even worse.
It's
Trying
out
to
of
get an
control.
apartment, everything. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and once you actually get that stigma as, being an ex-convict or a felon or um, inmate, you hear these words and you think so many things, but we're all people, and some people have
Yes.
just gotten caught, for some other things.
Right.
Um, One of the things that I've been trying to, just advocate for and explain to the community and show the community are, because they'll say, well, felons, when they come in, they tend to, not show up. And I'm like, well, how many people that aren't felons didn't show up this week?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? How many people
Yeah.
who weren't felons cursed out their supervisor? Are you saying that because they are, a felon? Because I don't know, maybe we need to do some statistics there to see the
Right.
difference from people with a criminal background that are, having issues at work versus those that have a background. And it even goes to show when those individuals who do have a criminal background are at work, if people find out about it, a lot of times they're ostracized for it and people mess
Yep.
with them intentionally just to be able
You're
to
right.
say, hey, oh, you're a cop, see what we mean? And it's like, no,
Mm-hmm.
I want to come to work, I want to do my job, I want to go home to my family, at the end of the day. And I still want
Yep.
to be able to have a life where, I may not be a billionaire per se, but I have
Mm.
a happy and wealthy life, in
Yeah.
entirety. So, um,
Yeah. You don't want to be defined by your past, you know. I think
exactly.
that's exactly what happens a lot of times. But before I transition to more into you, because I'm ready to talk about that now, one more question on the buses. Now, you said you guys are open to backgrounds, like that's on a case by case basis.
Yes.
What if somebody has something open or pending? Are they still eligible to apply and actually get employment with Indigo?
Always a possibility. Yes. Because I
Okay.
don't want to, if someone does come and they say, well, it happened to me and that didn't happen. I don't know what the circumstances are behind that because there
Mm-hmm.
are different reasons as to why people have pending charges.
Okay.
I noticed a pending charge of domestic violence. That is a charge that I'm noticing a lot with
Mm-hmm.
our African American members of our community, men and women, even if they're not touching each other, they're still getting a domestic violence pending case. So I don't know
Yes.
what that's about, but I'm sorry. And I think I was about to go off on a tangent. Please ask me your question one more time so
No,
I
no,
don't
you're fine. I'll just ask about the open charges just because I want to make
open
sure
charges.
that when people ask me, yeah, go ahead and apply. It's case by case, and we'll see how it goes. I mean, we just want you to apply to see because you're gonna miss all your shots if you don't take one. So that's what I'm hearing.
It is. And that's exactly what it is. You never know here. For open charges, again, that would be something that our learning and onboarding coordinator, Alyssa Freeman, would do. But
Okay.
generally, I've seen almost anything be possible here. So I don't want to,
Yeah.
definitely say that will definitely happen or say no, that's not the case.
Okay. Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
don't want to misspeak, but
Yep.
please apply. Again,
Yeah.
it's always worth having a conversation with somebody, especially if they pass your drug test and they
Oh
come
yeah.
with the right attitude. There's always a conversation that can be had.
I
Uh,
agree. I like that, and I'll make sure I use that.
mhm.
Um, Again, you're listening to What's Up Aboard TV and What's Up Aboard the podcast, and we're talking to Miss Bianca Phillips of Indianapolis, Indiana of Indigo. Right now, we're going to transition over to my second part of the show called Rapid Fire, Getting to Know You. You kind of gave us a little bit about you, but I'm going to ask some more specific questions about you, and we go on here. Okay. First question is, what were you like as a child? How would you describe your childhood?
Uh, Oof, that's a hard question. Again,
Were you a good kid,
okay,
bad
when you say
kid?
rapid fire, are you looking for two-word answers?
No,
Like,
no,
are you
no, no.
okay?
It's open. We just ask variety of questions coming at you. So just like, were you a good kid? Were you a smart student? Were you rambunctious? When you want to talk back, you sneak in out the window at night?
I was the kid who would was very I was a popular nerd, if that makes
Ooh,
sense.
a popular nerd.
Yeah, because I would get straight A's, but or
Okay.
I remember my mom, she was so mad. We had moved to Richmond and I think I got seven B's and one A. Oh my gosh. My mother was a teacher at one
Oh,
point.
okay.
And
Okay.
so her thing was, you're not going to be out here not knowing how to read, not knowing how to speak, how to articulate yourself. So I was a popular nerd in the sense of I was always sociable
Mm-hmm.
as a kid. I was very outgoing.
Okay.
Um, I would say prior to the divorce. And then after the divorce, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. My cousin told me, he was like, you used to be so prissy, right? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm not. I haven't been prissy in years. Like one day I
Mm.
just decided to stop being a ballerina. I don't know
Mm. Oh, okay.
why.
Tom
It
girl.
just stopped.
Tom
Yeah,
girl. Okay.
kind of.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. After a while, because heels hurt, and
Oh, yeah. I don't know how women do it.
and then,
I don't know.
I was a majorette in high school. But like as a kid, again, I was always, on somebody's honor roll, academics, sneaking out. I really didn't do much of that. I did maybe a couple times in high school, not a whole lot.
Hmm.
I was more scared of my mother than anything.
Okay.
So I wasn't about to do anything that would bring shame to me at school because my mom was not, I mean, she was
You
one
weren't
of those
playing
that's
that.
like, I will come to your school. And I'm like, no, no, no. Mm-mm. So, and looking back on it now, it was making me think about, my consequences for my actions, which was something that I obviously didn't do, while under the influence of substances.
Yeah.
But again, once you kind of clear your head of those
Uh-huh.
things, then you're
Yeah.
able to put things in place.
That
So,
moment of clarity. Yeah.
yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so, so you were about 6 years old when your parents got a divorce?
Six, seven, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Hmm. And you chose to stay with mom, obviously.
I didn't have a choice. It was just kind of, you're going with
Okay.
mom. Yeah.
Hmm. Do you think that affected you in relationships later on in life, having your parents break up at a
Oh, I
young
felt
age
it
for
was
yourself?
coming. I mean, I think everybody has some kind of mommy and daddy issue, whatever it may be.
Hmm.
Um, I would say when I was younger and, not understanding and not being open-minded to the effect of just understanding your parents are still people at the end of the
Yeah.
day who
Yep. Yep.
make, decisions, at the time where they think that, it's a great idea and maybe it wasn't a great idea. Maybe, in retrospect, it wasn't. But, to try to hold them accountable for, things that have just happened back in the past, how can I really, really have any kind of like, issues with parents for that? When it
Hmm.
came to relationships, and I think with me moving so much, I don't know, I was always like in some relationship for 3 to 5 years and then
Okay.
it would be over.
Oh, wow.
Um,
So you didn't get
I
married?
don't know,
Never
like,
got,
nope,
never got
never
married?
been married. Mm-mm. Nope.
Hmm.
I guess everyone when I was younger they were always pushing children on me,
Oh
right?
yeah. Oh
To
yeah.
oh, you need to have kids. I mean, I was still a sophomore in college, and people were like, "Oh, when are you gonna have babies?" Because that was, what was said, for endometriosis. Oh, well, get pregnant. You'll be all right. And I'm like, so what happens after I get pregnant? What am I gonna do with my child? And I guess because, that was the way people's mentality, were pushing to, get pregnant, not even necessarily get married, but get pregnant.
Right.
And that wasn't something that I was even thinking of, at the time. I was thinking of how to get myself better in order to do anything. And one of my exes, bless his heart, to this day, I have a huge respect for him because of he went through the period of the substance abuse with, the issue, the height of the endometriosis issues.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I was gonna ask you
and
that.
yeah, so so I know I put quite a lot on that young man. So bless his heart, he knows who he is.
I looked up
Um,
a little bit on that endometriosis, and one thing I found is that sometimes women with endometriosis can experience pelvic or lower abdominal pain, or pain with menses, or pain with
yes,
intercourse, and painful even bowel movements. So you said he kind of supported
yes.
you through that.
He did his
Wow.
absolute best. I will say that. And I did not make it easy, but and I'm
Oh,
not
so
going to make
he was a professional.
excuses. When you're in
Mm-hmm.
pain, you don't even realize what you're doing. When you're under the influence of narcotics, you don't understand what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even putting myself in silly situations such as trying to go, buy pills off the street with somebody in the wee hours of the morning because, I'm going through withdrawal.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and then of course at the time he didn't understand anything like that. And I didn't understand anything like that because I hadn't grown up around
Right.
that type of like drug use or behavior of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
My mom really wasn't a drinker. Now she does smoke cigarettes. She still does.
Okay.
And yeah, um, but she wasn't a drinker. Never saw her do any kind of, drugs. So, like I said, in that sense, I was blessed as well. Um, because I wasn't used to, having the lights cut off. And then now, as an adult, well, an adult at what, 22, 23, I'm living as an adult and, going through changes that I can't explain, going to my doctors who are telling me this is the best course of action. And it's hard, to even watch documentaries now with, painkiller and oh, there was
Right.
another series on Hulu, about Oxycontin because even remembering when the pain scale first came about, and going all that, like the pain scale, oh, having faces, I remember all of a sudden I was having to do that. I remember going in to pain management and getting a slew of drugs. I'm gonna just say that a slew of them. And
Mm-hmm.
then, coming the next month and they're like, oh, you need more. Here's a
Oh,
hundred more a month. Here's, by the
yeah.
time I was done, I mean, I was getting 4, 5, 600 pills a
Ooh,
month. And then when, they
good
started
insurance.
recognizing that maybe she's addicted, oh, she gets cut off.
Yeah,
And
that's what I've heard.
yeah.
I've heard that.
hmm And then that's when you start trying to go and find and seek out where, this medicine may be. And it's not
Yes.
necessarily in the greatest places all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I was a I was a substance abuse counselor for a long time, and a lot of times people were addicted to fentanyl. That was a big one when I was there. But you're right. People did get addicted because they're get a like you go get a tooth pull and they give you a 30-day script for something that's supposed to take 3 days, and then like oh, cut you off. Then there that causes you to do things. How did you feel during that time when you had to go out and seek alternative ways to deal with the pain? How did you feel personally, or were you not really conscious of how it was affecting other people, like your family members?
In front of my family member, I think around the time where I started noticing it, I wasn't sure if they noticed it or not because maybe they just didn't say anything. Um,
Hmm.
like I said, the my ex during that time frame was really the one who kind of showed it to me in a sense.
Oh,
Um,
did you accept that from
and
him? I mean, because sometimes hearing somebody things
no,
we don't
not
want
at
to hear is a
first.
challenge.
Not at first. Because you don't even realize that you were addicted to the medication at first.
Hmm.
You don't even think so. You just think, oh well, I'm hurting a little bit more. Let me take something. And just you keep popping it. From my family, I wouldn't take anything in front of them per se. Like even
Hmm.
with him, it wasn't that he would even see me take the medication because I would have them stashed in different areas. So
Okay.
in the bathroom, I'd have some here, and in the car, I'd have some here.
Hmm.
And but I'm sure, once I had taken it and it's affecting me, I don't know what I look like in front of
Okay.
them. So
Yeah.
maybe some family members were too nice to say anything, and
Hmm.
maybe they should have. Maybe they didn't know how I may take it, because you never know how somebody's going to react. I remember talking to a friend that was in rehab with me, and even rehab. I mean, I went what a total of 3 times,
Oh,
to actually get off that. So
three
it wasn't
times.
like a one-time thing. Yeah,
Right.
three
Yeah.
times.
Most people have to go back. I admire you for going back because some
Oh yeah.
people
I was
that's a
lucky
hard thing.
enough to be able to go back because there were quite a number of people that, you know, that were in rehabilitation with me and are no
Yeah.
longer on this planet.
Oh yeah.
Because they've passed away from whatever. It could be violence, it
Hmm.
could be overdosing, just depression,
Yep.
suicide.
Hmm.
A lot of that, comes from it. I know you'd asked the question, how did I kind of feel,
Yeah. Yeah.
even during that time frame. Again, people sometimes don't even know that they're in active addiction, and accepting it is one
Hmm.
thing. Because you just, no, no, that's not, but not even realizing that your body first becomes physically dependent on it before
It
your
does.
mind does.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Did you ever try methadone or Suboxone to deal with those issues?
not really. As something off the street, I try to, take a couple strips, to make me feel better if I were in a withdrawal phase. But I
Uh-huh.
guess I was scared to move on to that because that was addicting in itself.
Hmm.
And I know people were trying all kinds of ways to, make it so that they could find some kind of high off of these medications.
Yes.
So each time was a kind, like the first time, I was serious, but only serious because I was in withdrawal
Mm.
and I wanted help to get off of it because I could not do it myself.
Yeah.
Um,
And
and
you
so, I
recognize
pretty
that.
much got clean and, then the pain, but even then I was, well, during the 2 times prior to when I was experiencing issues,
Yes.
it was hard not to take something,
Hmm.
especially, with endometriosis. Every time I would have surgery to remove it, it would grow back, it would come back in different
Oh.
colors. Toward the
Hmm.
end, it was black and red and had adhered to my ovaries and my stomach lining. And so I had a
Hmm.
full hysterectomy. We took it all, took everything.
Okay.
No
Yeah.
cervix, no nothing.
Yeah.
So um, that was just, oh man, it's wild. Even going back and sitting here talking to you
I
about
can
it and
imagine.
just
Yeah.
remembering, what that was like. Because, and I hate to sound, I hope it's not vulgar, but it's just been so wonderful
Fine.
not having menses for the past decade and some change because
Boy, I'll
it's
tell you,
just been wonderful.
I don't think I could do it if I was a girl. I said, I'm not gonna do this. I wouldn't do it.
Yes.
But so when all that stuff kind of happened with the
Mhm,
substance use, is that
mhm.
kind of what led to the incarceration too?
Yes. I had taken it a step further from just selling prescription pills. And I had duplicated and then was able to create my own prescription on a piece of paper.
You doing it like
Yeah,
that? Dang.
very smart, just doing dumb things, right? Just,
So you made a
just,
script. You made a script and you could write them, and it was working.
it worked quite a bit. Yes, I'm not gonna, but
Yeah.
I got caught for 9 of them because, and you know how I got caught? What is
How?
really what was my downfall?
What
I
happened?
was in the far, and that was the thing. I was selling I mean, the paper instead of selling my medicine now because I needed my medicine, right?
Hmm.
So, but my downfall was trying to get one for myself.
Mm.
Um, because I was in withdrawal. I'd went to the pharmacy and the pharmacist and I had known each other, not personally, but
Yeah.
through me coming to the pharmacy, because that's where you're supposed to go
Hmm.
for the past, 5, 6, 7 years at this point. I mean, because I had been
Uh-huh.
going there even before the pain management. So that day, he, I don't know, he looked at me some kind of way.
You knew then.
He took forever and it was making me nervous, but he still came out with the stuff, gave it to me, and I went on my way.
Mm.
I remember it was 60 oxycodone 10 milligram, 10 325s.
Mm.
And come to find out, he had actually alerted the police, but they were taking forever.
Mm. So he had
Um,
let you go. He knew he was coming back, though, didn't
I actually didn't go back there.
he? Mm.
Um, but yeah, because at the time there wasn't a red flagging
Yeah,
system
cross
per
reference
se.
and all that stuff. Yeah.
Right. It wasn't really that. It was, you could go to different pharmacies. So I
Yeah.
just ended up never going back. But I also at
Wow.
that point was no longer going to pain management when I had gotten to that point
Hmm.
because I guess that had been cut off. Because I needed medicine early one time. And again, the doctor probably saw it then, but
Hmm.
that was their thing back then was to cut the person off, tell them they're a junkie, and have them leave. So, of course, that
Wow.
means you're going to find another doctor who will do it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
on all honesty, because of the issues that I had, and because I had my medical records, that was never an issue for me to.
Hmm.
Here's this. Oh, here you are. Oh, you
There
need
you
some
go.
more? Here you are.
Hmm.
And being that young, especially starting to get medicine at what, 17, 18, starting off that early, and again, giving it, receiving it at that age, you're not inclined to do a whole lot of research because you trust your doctors.
Oh, yeah.
Even
Yeah.
other family members had, mounds of the stuff. I'd be, hey, oh,
Yep.
you got some of these? Let me trade you up some for these. Like it wasn't a it wasn't a realization at that point of how addicting the medicine actually was. It was in the fun phase of that
Yeah.
medication. So
How many were you taking a day? You said you had like quite a few. How many on average was somebody taking when they're in addiction? Like 10, 20 a day?
or more, depending on what the medication was. Um,
Hmm.
and there's even different types of withdrawal. So the thing with, for example, OxyContin, it's like synthetic heroin in a
Yep.
sense.
Hmm.
Um, versus like and again, everybody's metabolism is different. Everybody takes medicine differently,
Hmm.
and people's have a preference, if that makes sense, of what they like. So
Right.
for me it was Percocet and OxyContin, those two, and
Okay.
Valium, that was another. So that way when I was all nice and energized for my Percocet, that way I'd be able to have my Valium and calm down.
Hmm.
So that was the never ending cycle there, as
Yeah.
well. And that was one that was very hard to break. Uh,
Hmm.
but in the height of it, I mean, because at first I barely wanted to take one, I was scared of it. And then, I would say an 80 milligram Oxycontin tablet. I think I could take, I don't know, 15, 20 a day.
Okay. Okay.
In addition to Percocet, probably I would say maybe 10 a day for that, just to supplement the breakthrough pain.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
so I mean, and it wasn't so much that, especially those kinds of medications will lead you to other drugs. I never
Mm-hmm.
tried heroin. I never tried coke. And that was not because I thought I was better than anybody. Oh, no. It was because I was scared I was going to like it
Oh.
because I knew I had an addictive personality. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
like, for example, hated cigarettes, hated them. And then one day picked up one and never looked back, right?
Oh.
Stopped for
Yeah.
a while and then, started back up, tried to quit again. And now I'm in a quitting phase again.
Okay.
Uh,
Good.
but,
I hope you
that's been
do.
a hard one to do as well because it's been
Yeah.
second nature for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So, just making
Right. It's
changes
a
like
coping mechanism too.
lifestyle
Probably
change.
helps you keep stay with some other stuff too by doing that. So it's got to have some dual
Yeah.
effect on there.
Yeah.
Timmy, let me pivot over to when you went to jail. Was it jail, prison? I forget the correct term, but
Both. I went to both. Yeah.
what was that like being in there? I mean, what's that experience? Like that's like the first day you go in there, you're scared. Did somebody bring you on their wing? Is it like Orange is the New Black? What's going on there?
Okay. Well, my experience in jail, in prison, I went to court. The day I went to court, actually, the day I went to court, it was a Monday, I think. Yeah, it was a Monday. And I was the last person. And when the judge heard everything, because I got hit with 20 felonies altogether.
Hmm, 20.
But just because of the script, like when they did the prescription, it was you got one count for the prescription itself and then another count for possession with intent to sell. So it was nine prescriptions and
Hmm.
nine possessions with intent to sell. And then it was I'm sorry, it was 11 of those. And then a maintaining a vehicle because the incident happened in my vehicle, maintaining a
Oh man,
vehicle charge. So
they
it's
throwing stuff at
20,
you.
20, right? It just was like you would have thought I was some kind of queen pin. And that was
Right.
further from the case, right? It was
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Hmm.
But so he was like, so the judge, I had gotten people to write letters. I didn't really want a whole lot of people going to work with me because I didn't know what was going to happen. And in all honesty, I knew that I was going to prison, what I mean, for some time because
Yeah.
of, what was going on. I knew it. I knew it.
Mm-hmm.
So oh man, I'm laughing at myself now. It's special. Um, so the next day, so the judge is like, okay, we'll come back the next day. So I was able to go have some dinner with my family that night, and just
Mm-hmm.
everything that was transpiring was letting me know, are you going, you're going to prison. You're going. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because I'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and pack up this stuff. But if I don't put this stuff together, that means I'm not gonna go to prison. Yeah, I went to
Mm-hmm.
prison.
Yeah. I
But
bet
I
that
was
clock was spinning fast too that day before you was going back.
it was because I was the first case heard on Tuesday, of
Oh
course.
my God.
Um,
Man.
but I really thought I was gonna get 5 years because they had said 42. Okay.
Oh
Um,
my. 42.
and 40, they're like
Mm-mm.
max of 42 years. And so the attorney, the public defender, actually, Bill Davis, at the time, he was a public defender. And public defenders, I will say, some get a bad rap. Some of
Mhm.
them do.
Yes.
But again, it's all in who you know sometimes because
Of
I knew
course.
somebody who knew Bill Davis and they said that's the one you want to try to get. So I went and, talked to the people in the clerk's office, like, hey, can I please get this attorney? And lo and behold, even though she said there's no guarantee, I was able to get him. So this gentleman who was fighting for me not to have any prison time,
Mhm.
again, I knew that I was going to get some. I ended up with the judge saying a total of 13 months.
On
And
42 years.
so I was my handcuffs. Like I was like, do I get to go home and pack up? He was like, no, you're going right now. So I'm in
Right
my
now.
court clothes and like I'm like one of the only people in the courtroom that's getting handcuffs put on, and I'm like, thank you, Judge. Like,
Yeah, for
because I'm
13 months.
recognizing that 13 months, I'm like, okay, that's a year and a month. Well, really it was 13 to 16 months, but of course, keeping a job and not getting in trouble, which was hard to do in prison. I'm gonna get there. But
Hmm.
yeah, anyway, so yeah, going to jail immediately. Well, no, first they take you, in the back. My cousin, came to meet me. My attorney comes and I was hoping for nothing. And I'm like, I'm okay. Okay,
Good
it's
with that.
okay.
Yeah.
Get down. They take you in the bowels of the courthouse, right? I never knew that the courthouse had a tunnel that they
Right.
take you in and you're all shackled to these other people.
Mm-hmm.
And oh no, wait, let me back up. I think I missed the spot. When you first go in the back, they put you in a room with people who are going to court, and it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty much just a waiting area. And they have
Okay.
a toilet, a cement little barrier with a toilet there, where someone was defecating on the toilet, talking to their attorney through the bars. And it was,
Wow.
I mean, she had to go. And I mean, that's the reason
Gotta
for
go,
the
gotta
toilet,
go.
because they're not going to let you out of that holding cell, pretty much. Like,
So
but it was
everybody
just,
can see her?
yes. Again,
Mm.
there's maybe like a little barrier in the toilets here, but I mean, you can see her face. Every
Dang. Well,
you
I'll
can
talk to
see
you
her, you
later.
can
You go ahead
smell
and
her.
handle that. I'll
Nope.
be
And
back.
the attorney, bless his heart, I'm like, I wonder, when people say I want to be an attorney, I'm like, did they realize that if you deal with people in the criminal justice system, you might have to go
Yeah.
back there and do this?
Yeah. I don't think they do.
But
I never thought of it like that,
but yeah.
but man.
But yeah, anyway, fast forward. Like I said, you go through the tunnels, yada yada yada, and then you have to get changed out. You have to take your clothes off. You have to be searched. You have to
Everybody's
walk
there
a
looking at you
SWAT.
while they strip searching you and all that. It's like a whole
There
bunch of
were
room.
other people. Were there? I can't remember if jail there was someone else.
Man,
I remember I
so
was,
much to try to
because they take your
humiliate you.
clothes and log them, and then uh, they log them. They have you take a shower, change, then you go to, your area. You have to walk through. You're all shackled to each other. Um, then you get in.
Hmm.
You're in 24-hour lockdown for the first 24 hours. You're in lockdown for the 24 hours. So you don't deal
For
with
what?
people. They bring your food to your room
What does
because
that
I
what does
guess
that
in
do?
case you have a it's a so again, when you look back on it, you can
Uh-huh.
understand the reason for it. When you're in it, you don't get it, right?
Yeah.
um but it would have appeared that some people who have just come from court or whatever the case may be may have substances inside of them. They may have
Okay.
to, maybe they may have a reaction. People may have transported bed bugs, lice, where you don't want to necessarily put them together, but single them out, at least for 24 hours to see if you see anything coming off of them, that if you put them in general population, that it won't spread to the masses.
That makes
So
sense.
there's a reason, for
Okay.
everything. But again,
Method to the madness.
that's right. There is a method to the madness. But being in jail, Bob Barker's name was everywhere. Bob Barker Industries for uh what was it? Your little toothbrush they give you that's about like this big. And
You talking
in
about
all
the Price is Right,
honesty,
dude?
Bob Barker, yeah, that one. That one. Bob
Ah,
Barker Industries. He
he
has
owning
a
that stuff.
nice footing in the privatized um, prison system. We'll just say
Mm-hmm.
that
I know they make money.
they do.
Yeah.
They
I
really do. Getting
I get it.
commissary, even people like, let's say you get transferred and you've
Mm-hmm.
ordered commissary from jail to prison, because that's what I was waiting on. I was in jail for 2 weeks before I went to prison.
Mm-hmm.
And in jail, it's cold in jail. Man, it's cold in there.
I
Like,
don't like cold.
luckily,
I like cold.
it's like I like cold, but it's cold. It's cold. It's a different kind of cold.
And you
But
don't really have like a jacket in there, right? You don't have like clothes, do you?
not
I mean, you just got
really.
yeah.
No. And then of course, if you order commissary, though, the jail where I was, if you ordered commissary and you happen to be transferred the day before, commissary came, they wouldn't put that money back on your books, which I thought was just so outlandish. But no, they wouldn't do that.
Right.
Um, but jail visits, I want to say I had to talk to my uncle through a not even a glass partition, but a video screen. They had it on
Hmm.
video.
Yeah.
The phone calls were atrocious. At that time, I didn't know a lot of people that had local phone numbers. So
Hmm.
phone calls were always like $3, $4 a phone call. And I remember one time one
Mm-mm.
of my friends said something that I didn't like and I went off. I was Prison is just you're in a different mindset. It's just you're grumpy. You're just grumpy.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
just something that I may not have, been upset been upset had I, been on the outside, but being inside just made me mad. And they had the nerve to
Mm-hmm.
hang up on me. And so I called back, man, do you know you just cost me $4? Like it's
Man.
not like you can just hang up on people. Like this costs
Right.
money. And I've already
Yeah.
paid for I'm like $8 to talk to you. It's ridiculous.
Mm-mm. Yeah. You got
So
to
yeah,
listen to all this.
yeah.
Ooh. Wow. That was it seemed like, but you seemed like you're doing so good. Like I wouldn't even think that you had those experiences because you're so positive and you laugh all the time. And when I saw you at a couple of events and stuff, so was it like therapy in there for you? Was it something good that came out there from you?
I wouldn't say therapy, not at all.
Okay.
Uh, and that was probably one of the good things is that I did my jail time and my prison time at
Hmm.
once. So
Okay.
it made me sit down for a while. It
Yep.
wasn't like I was in and out in a few months and probably
Hmm.
wouldn't have learned anything. Now I will say prison doesn't necessarily rehabilitate you. You
Oh, I
do
know
have to
that.
do a little bit of work there because you have a bunch of time.
Yeah.
There's just so much time that you have on your hands. So it's
Hmm.
all up to you what you do in there. There are many people who really want to, continuously learn. And while you're there, unless you have years on your sentence, you're not going to be able to get into programs for college education or having, a job, even doing the license plates. You have other jobs like working in a kitchen for 70 cents a day and and yeah, that's how you get your little commissary or you have friends and family. And luckily I was one of those people that had not burned a lot of my bridges.
Hmm.
So it's hard to see people who are in there that have burned bridges due to, substance abuse and what have you, and
Yep.
now don't have that support from anyone on the outside to help them while they're in.
Hmm.
So there's the whole thing why I see the recidivism. Like there's a whole thing trying to help break that a little bit.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
as for laughing and smiling now, Ward, you have to because I've cried enough in
Yeah.
life. I've been depressed enough in life. And then even with prison, a lot of people will say, oh, well, was it the people? Yeah, people are going to get on your nerves everywhere, no matter what
Hmm.
kind of capacity that you're in. But
Yeah.
it was the little things like missing out on my aunt's funeral,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
or being able to even open a refrigerator door at my convenience, or walk
Hmm.
outside when I wanted to, or not hear the word count 50 billion times, when it's time for everyone to be counted. Um,
Hmm.
Seeing fights over nonsense because they're essentially people are bored.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bored and there's not a lot of things for them to really do other than get on each other's nerves.
Hmm.
And then even when you are trying to cool off from people, the only way you have for them to cool off is solitary. Other than that, they're going to see each other every day. I mean, you're going to still be in that bunk.
Hmm.
The stuff we had going on from yesterday is still going to transcend in today. And then now we have other people who are now in the mix because why? They have nothing else to do. They have nothing productive to do. So they end up just playing around and not doing anything and wasting time or sleeping time away.
Did you find other women were jealous of you or attacked you because of who you were? Or I'm assuming you're African American, right?
Yes, I'm
Yeah,
African.
I never can tell. You kind of you can go a couple ways. I'm looking. I'm not sure.
No, I am African American.
Okay.
Um, Women in general, I think when people don't know who I am at first,
Yeah.
just seeing me, all kinds of opinions are formulated. And it's fun to find out how they originally thought of me. And then once they actually took some time to actually get to know me, they're, oh my God, like I had no idea like you'd be this cool. And
Right.
being down to earth is the fun part of being down to earth because you get to see everything. And then I'm always in the positions that I've been in, with the connections that I've made, not only through work, but through family, through life
Hmm.
experiences of my own, through, that person who just happened to tell somebody about me. And
Yeah.
now I'm here, right?
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's been an amazing journey. And like I said, if I can do that, then I know other people can. It's really a willingness to want to do it. If
Hmm.
you're in active addiction or if you have your mind, set on a certain thing, then, you know, certain opportunities are not going to come your way.
Hmm.
Uh, and it's just all about in what you kind of, what you really want to do with your life.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask you this. So having your wide background and traveled and had that experience and being incarcerated, if you were to date again, what kind of guy, I don't know if you date or not, but what type of guy will it take to have to be able because I know you can't come short and like, hey, I've been there, done that, got a t-shirt, washed it, and still wearing it. Are you a patient person with them now, or are you gonna be like, no, man, I'm a survivor. You got to step up. You can't be. I mean, where are you at on that?
if I hate this question because right now, I guess dating isn't even on my radar per se. I feel like if
Okay.
I go look for it, then it doesn't come, or the things that I want don't come. But I'm pretty open minded when it comes to a man in a sense of, or dating just in general. I feel like you just need to be about something. Like
Hmm.
that's kind of where we need to even start. Um,
Yeah.
and it's kind of hard in that sense, especially nowadays with not being able to see people in other ways of other than like swiping left and right all the time.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
then when I'm out in the community, I'm generally working, so I'm not even hearing or trying to hear of anything unless you're telling me about how I can get some people in these doors of Indigo, right?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. You focus, laser focused. Like.
right, yeah. I mean, and that's my job. So,
Hmm.
it just like it would have to be somebody who has seen me in multiple functions and multiple facets to get an understanding of what it is that I do.
Hmm.
Um, because I am busy. I'm kind of all over the place. So as long as they can just kind of understand, I don't really want somebody who's extremely jealous.
Oh my
That's,
gosh.
because that just I can't, have a conversation with, the president and CEO of this company or be able to talk to this candidate about, what's going on with their training right now and why they're,
Hmm.
can't do that, right?
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah. Yeah. I don't like
yeah,
jealousy. Boy, well, I can tell you some
yeah.
stories, but
And you
all
got to be
right. Let
able
me.
to have something on the brain. But I mean,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
sense, yeah,
Good
you
conversation.
got to be about something, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Hmm.
something.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. That's fair. I mean, what do you think you've learned about yourself over the last several years that helped become uh, the Bianca that we see here today? What have you learned about yourself?
I have learned that patience will not only make you feel better mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's
Hmm.
once you're stressed out, you can't think
Oh my
straight,
God.
and everything's, getting on your nerves and, you can't process this, and I'm not going to do that. Learning that not only patience will take me very far, but not sweating the small stuff, being
Right.
able to look at the details because I'm very analytical, but also being able to look at the bigger picture. And
Mm.
then also just being able to communicate with people to get to a collaboration, not a compromise, because I don't want us to lose out on anything. There are so many opportunities right now in the world that if you put your mind to something, you really can do it. And I know there's a
Yeah.
sense of entitlement right now where, oh well, give it to me. It's entitled to me. I want it, it's mine. And I'm like, why do people feel like they don't have to work for something? Because that once you do work for it, you appreciate it a lot more. You
Oh
take
yeah.
care of it
You sure
and
will.
instilling those values.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. I got two questions left. What type of music do you listen to, or how do you relax? How do you decompress after a long day? Because I'm sure you have a pretty strict routine of a daily schedule. You seem very organized.
It's actually not a strict schedule. Things are I mean, I have a calendar, don't get me wrong. So,
I know
and
it. I
things
know it.
always come about. So I'm always ready to pivot. Okay, well, that didn't, I'm like, oh,
Mm.
running late for this. How are we gonna make this up? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
But oh man, again, see, music. Oh my gosh, that was one of the best questions you could have asked. I listen to almost any and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Just even on the way here, Amber Mark, Lincoln Park,
Okay.
uh, Moneybag Yo, Tupac,
Dang, you swinging
and
some
who was it?
pendulum is swinging. Wow.
And it was oh my gosh, it was a soundtrack from Requiem for a Dream.
Hmm.
I can't remember the name of the song
I
at the
don't know that
moment.
one.
Um,
Yeah, I don't know that one.
yeah, it's music. That it was a movie with Marlon Wayans a long time ago, and I think it was Jared Leto, where they were drug addicts. And it's
Oh
called
yeah, yeah,
Requiem
yeah.
for a Dream. Yeah, and
Okay.
the
Yeah.
sound, the music to that. So I just had like my playlist on repeat on a random.
Mm-hmm.
You never kind of know what you're gonna hear with
Okay.
me.
Yeah.
Never, ever. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, all
Okay.
over the place. But my favorite song, I'll say that, is Moments in Love by The Art of Noise, the one
Oh
with the
yeah,
piano intro, and
man.
the soft one, not the one, like with the auto tune sounds. But yeah, that one.
Yeah, there's so many versions of that, but I like the original. Is that is I really like that one. That's a good song. And I really don't like instrumentals, but that one I really like. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
good choice.
yeah.
Last question before I wrap this up. If you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what would you say? What would you talk about?
Oh, why is society so hell bent on marriage? That's number one. Sorry. Like that just even with the diamond, and how that just kind of came about recently in the last, what, 100 years. Like people are so materialistic nowadays. And
Hmm.
even though I'm not going to say that, I'm not bitten by that bug as well, but I've gotten to the point where that doesn't run my life. I'm not
Hmm.
defined by the things that I have. Just kind of wishing that people would be a lot more accommodating to others with being equitable. Because people say, well, equal. And I'm like,
Are
how
we?
do you expect everybody to get to one area when they haven't even had the background in the first place to be even on the same level? For example, I
Facts.
had a coworker, she's in a wheelchair, love her to pieces. Like she's such an awesome person. But telling us to reach up to that cabinet, right, is not the same because I can do it no problem, but she would need assistance in doing so. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I mean by equity, not necessarily equality, because you can't, everything is not always equal.
That's true.
Yeah. And then just kind of being nicer to each other. And going back to work. I mean, I know COVID did a toll on us, and I'm one of the, when I tell you I was like one of the most introverted, extroverted people ever, I'm serious. Like Yeah.
I can't believe
But
that.
yeah, just try to, I don't know, be nicer to each other. Teach our kids something. Please,
Boy,
Lord, teach them something.
for real.
'Cause they're the future generation. And it's just like I said, with the sense of entitlement and the me
Uh-huh.
movement, it's
Oh
always
man.
about me
Yeah.
movement. It's
Mm-hmm.
been kind of discouraging to say the least. And probably
Mm-hmm.
one of the reasons why I've been okay with not having kids of my own. Because I'm like that cool auntie that you can kind of, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take to the amusement park and then you know, yeah.
Make it
So
real.
like
Yeah.
that's why I'm like I have a different mindset than a lot of other people. Because even with the institution of marriage, my whole thought process behind that was, be married and have a child and da 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 da. And I'm like, I never
Traditional
had
family.
been with someone, to the point where I wanted to settle down and have kids. And
Mm-hmm.
then when the kids thing was taken away, then it was, oh my God, I'm free. I'm freedom. I can do
Mm-hmm.
whatever I want. I can do anything. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
I just want to piggyback off the one of the things you said there about marriage. Um, I had never wanted to get married in my life, never want to have kids. Neither one of those panned out that way. But one thing I did learn about marriage is two are better than one. I think you can, once you find somebody who's on the page with you, who understands what you, vibe with you, it can be a beautiful thing because you two can actually do more and you have that comfort of knowing somebody got your back. But for me, it's a matter of knowing myself and going from there. Because sometimes we can have higher expectations of other people than we have on ourselves, which can lead to that whole divorce thing being so high and all that stuff. So, but I still think it's a good thing, but you just got to know yourself first.
Well, this is the thing. When I was growing up, due to the fact that I had parents who had gotten divorced and had
Mm-hmm.
uncles and aunts who were still married, I asked some of them, would you ever get married again? And
Mm.
the general consensus, I would say 92% of them said no, they wouldn't. Because I was always able to, get someone to talk to me. So,
Mm-hmm.
them telling me things like that, because, if keep in mind the spouse heard that, they'd have a fit, right? But
Right.
yeah, they're like, no. A lot of my friends who got married or divorced, right? And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
do I just want to say I got married just to say I've been married?
Right.
Um, and but I'll say it this way because I don't want to make it seem like I'm my own independent woman. I don't want nobody. That's not what it is at all. I promise. If I met the
Mm-hmm.
right person, heck yeah.
Right.
Heck
Yeah.
yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
You
heck yeah.
you
Because you're
you
right.
would
Two is
know.
better than one. Two household incomes definitely better than one.
Game
Two
changer.
heads thinking together better than one.
Right.
Um, and then that's why it's like you want somebody who has a little something up here, at least, so that
Mm-hmm.
way you can continue to grow and build with each other.
Right.
Um, and that's
Yep.
really what it's all about. So
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
a lot of that time with me was substance abuse and loving Percocet more than anything and everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've been able to kind of start finding myself having epiphanies in prison, like, oh my God, I'm like in prison, whoa, like right.
Yeah.
um Even going from maximum to minimum security prison was a thing on its own. So like just
Mm-hmm.
even going through the different levels there. And yeah, Ward, it's been, like I said, amazing. And I would
Oh
love to
yeah.
share that with someone who, was willing to accept me for, all
Mm-hmm.
my flaws and everything. Because now I'm at a point in life where I'm way more patient. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more understanding. Even when I'm driving, I notice that I'm way less aggressive just
Yeah.
because it's not worth it. I don't feel like dealing with the
No.
co-pays. I don't feel like having my car dinged up. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
just go
Yeah.
ahead. Just go ahead.
Yep.
Have that.
Go ahead.
Have that.
I'm
I'm
the
still
same
gonna
way.
get there.
Yeah.
So,
I really
now
appreciate
having
that.
that versus, being younger and oh well, I want this, I want that. And it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
I do want someone who's well rounded. So, we gotta be able to, talk to the brothers, the sisters, we gotta be able to
Mm-hmm.
talk to the presidents,
Right. Yeah.
the housekeepers,
Exactly.
like
Yep.
everybody. So I want
Yep.
somebody who can talk to everybody like I can, because they'll
Yeah.
understand it a lot better.
Yep. Richard Pryor said, we can get to know anybody. All we got to do is talk to them.
Mhm.
So I can respect
Gotta
that.
be willing to listen too, though. That's
Yeah,
the other thing.
that's key to it. You have to be able to listen, to not just respond, but to listen to understand. So I think that's it. But we can go on about that for days. I'm writing a relationship book. I'll tell you about that offline. But yeah. Anyway, but Bianca, you're the only person I know with the name Bianca. I do like that. Were you named after somebody else, or your
My
mom
mom
named you
wanted
after?
my initials to match my father's. So it was Bianca Wellesley Phillips for Brian Wesley Phillips. And I think it was Mick Jagger's wife at the time.
Oh,
Her name was Bianca.
okay, yeah.
So yeah. And then the Rescuers Down Under came. And then that's when I started meeting other Biancas. Yeah.
Oh, so you met some. You're the first one I met. So okay, heard the name, but I haven't met one. So that's the first. All right. Well, Bianca, it's been a fun, pleasing pleasure to hear your story today, and also find out about the bus industry and your exciting life and everything there. What's next for you before we wrap it up? What can we expect from you next?
Well, I will be at Indigo for a couple years, at
Okay. All
least,
right.
if they'll have
Okay.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I would like to move into motivational speaking,
Ooh,
as
yes.
well as assisting with training efforts when it comes to soft skills training. A
Yeah.
lot of and I hate to make it just about African Americans, but that is what, you know, not only what my village, is, what my people look like, what my family members look like, and to be able to see us to achieve things that our ancestors have died for us to be able to have, the rights that a lot of people take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Just even the right to vote. I know people are like, I'm not going to vote. I'm like, you know how many people actually died just to give you the right to do that. And it's okay if you don't want to, but just
Yeah.
understand that there's a whole thing behind this. It's not this way just because one person said so. There's been an entire movement behind it
Right.
this
Yeah.
but yeah, what they can expect next from me, ec- equitable, equitable changes, that will help us to, have a better community in a village. Our community is broken,
Broke.
from all kinds of systematic economic socioeconomic things, right? We're not even going to get
Mm.
into that. That's a story for another day.
Right.
But um, there's been a lot of disadvantages, especially for those who have been heavily affected by opioid use. So, yes, I'm definitely an advocate for people to get their lives back on track
Mm-hmm.
and to get off of that. While you're in your addiction, you don't think that there's any way out. And, I'm a living testament to tell you it is. Someone who is
Mm-hmm.
taking so many pills at once that I know I've OD'd myself and probably just slept it off and
Mm-hmm.
was able to actually wake up and try to make a better choice.
Yes.
I know that there are many times that my life I should have died. And life is too short, to keep almost dying. Like I want to, keep
Yeah, I
living.
know.
It's time for me to go because death is inevitable. And my thing is, why fear it? Don't be scared of it. It's going to happen. I mean,
Right.
no matter what.
Yeah.
So enjoy your life for what you can and relish in the moments for now what you can because we really don't know what's on the other side or if there is another side or whatever the case may be. So, yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. How can listeners find you on social media if you want to be found, or can people follow up with you or support you in any way?
I'm terrible with Facebook. I'm going to be honest. I'm terrible with it.
Okay. All
Um,
right.
I'm I'm
They just
so
see it
not a
Indigo.
social
You
media
just
person.
yeah,
And
just find
I'm
Indigo.
gonna
You
have to
everywhere.
start doing it for work, right? I'm gonna have to start doing it for work because I need to be able to reach, people in a different way other than,
Hmm.
trying to post flyers, right?
Yeah.
Um, but they can, I would say, yeah, reach me through work.
Okay.
And
All
then,
right.
that's always the best way. But it's Bianca, Bianca dot Phillips, Phillips at indigo.net. It's INDYGO.net.
All right.
My and I'll even give my work cell number, three one
Give it out.
seven 317 719 3335.
Say it one more time for
317-719-3335.
me. Got it. All right. Well, is there anything else you want to add before I say my final thoughts here? Did we cover
I
anything?
feel
We
like I've
miss
talked
anything?
a lot. I feel like I've said way too much.
No, you get
Like
some
I'm
good
like, I hope I don't
information.
get in trouble with work
Yeah,
for
you let me
telling all
know.
my business.
We can hold up if it's a problem, but don't worry about that. But yeah, I appreciate your candor
It is
sharing all
what
this
it
stuff
is.
with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let me go ahead and say my final thoughts before I get out of here. My final thoughts are these. Well, again, let me say thank you to Bianca for stopping by in her candor today. And Sarah, side note that Mr. Wood said to tell you that he didn't forget about the day you always remember, September 3rd. He said you would know what that means. And my final thoughts are these. As a life coach, I often hear people complain about relationships. Some folks are wanting love, some people want to get away from toxic lovers, and other people are just a problem. Well, Wardy Ward has two lessons I think you'll enjoy. Number one, never take a sleeping pill and a laxative at the same time. You just got to trust me on that one. The second thing is be careful with internet dating. You can easily fall in love with the pictures you see on social media, but body odor, bad breath, and a nasty attitude doesn't always show up online, at least not yet. So remember, everybody has a story to tell, but we just want to know yours. So until next time, peace.